the upcoming housing collapse, and what to do with your wholesaling real estate business. Guys, it's Rick Ginn here, and today we are going to talk about what's going on with the housing market, the key stats that are driving it, and in the end, what exactly do you need to do not only to survive this market, but to thrive in a down market in your wholesaling business. But before I get into it, do me a favor, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button to continue to receive really cool videos just like this. So unless you have been on like Mars, you guys know that our economy, the US economy in specific, is having major issues. And the crazy thing is it really depends on who you talk to of what you think the severity of it is. And here's one thing I've noticed. I've been doing wholesaling for 20 years. And if you ask this person, you know, do you think there's going to be a housing recession? Do you think the economy is going to bounce back? It depends on who you ask. And here's the problem with that. You have to look at the person's agenda when you ask it. So we all kind of know how national news work. Everyone's got their set opinion, and it's usually one-sided, and you have to watch multiple programs. I was watching TV just the other day, last week, and guys, this was in June, and they were talking about how great the housing prices are still appreciating. Guys, that's old news. That's not going to help you as a wholesaler or a real estate investor. So we all know how national news works, but what about when you get information from lots of influencers online and people in the real estate space? Well, here's the problem. You need to ask yourself, what is their buy-in for telling you that information? So I've noticed on a lot of, I mean, not just one in specific, any type of like coaching channel specifically associated with like real estate investing from anyone who's really done it from 2013 after, they're all like, oh, everything's great, everything's rosy, I go out to restaurants, it's busy. Guys, that is not how you evaluate if a market's good, okay? Yes, you can have thriving businesses in a down economy, and that's what we're here to do this video for, but I'm here to tell you, for the most part, our economy is getting crushed. Stats are coming out we haven't seen in 40 years. Across the board. You guys know raging inflation. So let's talk about what's driving our current economic conditions, but stop accepting people telling you the market's good, etc. Guys, I've been through this. Back in 2006, 7, the handwriting was on the wall. I ignored it, okay? I was the guy at the very end going, oh my God, we're in big trouble. I should have prepared at least a year before this. So if someone's telling you it's rosy, ask yourself, what's their buy-in for that? The only way you can sell high-end coaching tickets or any products in any type of space is they have to have a positive outlook on the economy. And once there is a negative outlook on the economy, people cut back and they stop wasting money on things they really can't afford anymore. From 2013 to now, we've been in coachflation like out of control. I've never seen so many coaches out there, so many random prices. The prices get slashed in half. Guys, there's too many coaches chasing too few students, and that is their business model. So, of course, they're going to tell you everything's perfect. I went to a restaurant. It's all great. I don't know what these guys are talking about. It's just lack of experience. Guys, the numbers I'm sharing with you are from the federal government. Like, this is of a population of 330 million people plus, okay? So you've got to pay attention to them. Right now, as we speak, the stock market's down almost 30%, and it's just getting started. They're talking another 10 or 15%. These are big numbers. Why is that important to you? Because these are U.S. businesses that are going to be running in the red. The problem is they're all cutting back their projections for profits, and it's shaking investors. And a lot of these companies saying, we're not sure how we're even going to make money going through the next 2 or 3 quarters. That should really concern you. Why? Keep in mind, guys, as interest rates go up, it costs more for corporations to raise capital, so they start to cut back. And you've got to understand that everything costs more. Expansion, we're stopping that. We're not doing that. They're not going to open up, additional locations, departments. They just stop. They got to stop the bleeding, okay? The other thing is interest rates. Or like 6.5 at mortgage rates, we're definitely going to go to 7. We could see 8. They just raised the federal lending rate by 0.75 basis. That's the largest increase since 1994. You have inflation at a 40-year high with no signs of stopping. I don't need to tell you where we are in gas prices. Guys, if you don't think all this stuff's going to wash into real estate, you're out of your mind. Okay. I've been around long enough. There is just too many signs that's saying it's coming. Now, has it affected real estate right now? Yeah, we're starting to see more inventory, price reductions, days on market. Do you realize they had a 22-year low on mortgage applications? Guys, people in the mortgage business, they're kind of used to this. It's like feast or famine. And unfortunately, it looks like a lot of famine's coming for the rest of this year and probably 2023. Let's get back to interest rates. So the current interest rates for mortgages, the increase over the last 60 days has reduced the buyer's buying power by 30%. Guys, it looks like it's going to go another point or two, and who knows what the affordability level is going to be. Guys, this is going to affect properties at or above the median price, because the more people that can't sell their property, the more they're going to compete and lower the price, and it's going to put pressure on the entire market. I don't want this to happen. I want people to make money and work in a safe environment, but a true free economy, there has to be free range of pricing to reset everything. Is it coming to real estate? 100% guaranteed now. Like, I was on the fence there for a while. All the data is there. Let me run you through some additional data so you can completely understand. So I want you to think about this. Mortgage rates could go, they're definitely going to be at 7. If they hit 8, someone trying to get a $400,000 or $500,000 mortgage with a 1% rate increase substantially lowers their buying power. It means they have to make more money. Remember, in an economy that's getting ready to have major changes, and they have to reduce their debt just to be able to afford that same house at that same price because interest rates went up. Also, when interest rates go up for the corporations, is the biggest thing on their spreadsheet to cut costs for a company that's bleeding is what? It's payroll. What does that mean? We cut back on payroll. Unemployment. Unemployment right now, as we speak, is at 3.6%. Honestly, it's the last government's claim that stuff is good. I'm here to tell you that number's history. It's going to shoot up. From what we've seen right now, companies are looking to lay off 15 to 20% of their workforce. Guys, this is across the board. These are huge companies. People you know that work for them. Some of you probably work for them. You've got rumblings going at work. They're sitting in board meetings right now figuring out how many people to lay off. They haven't laid them off yet. It's coming, okay? So we're starting from the boardroom and working our way down. And I'm going to show you how this is eventually going to wash into real estate. So 3.6% unemployment. The government says, the Fed specifically, they don't want to exceed 4.1%, and really they need to knock inflation all the way down. Guys, it's not going to happen. The only way you can knock inflation down is you basically have to hurt the economy. How do you hurt the economy? When companies stop making money, they can't afford it, they lay off people. When you lay off people, that stat 3.6 will go to the 4s. It'll probably go to the 5s. I see it exceeding maybe 6 or 7%. That stat takes a long time to recover. I know that from history. You cannot fix unemployment in a month or two. It takes 12 to 18 to 24 months to really recreate jobs, because these companies have to get back to profitable level. In the last 2 years, we went from almost 15% unemployment during the peak of the pandemic to down to 3.6. What does that mean? Well, we always knew companies weren't super loyal to employees. Let's face it, working with one company, retiring, those days are over. But now employees aren't loyal to corporations because everyone was jumping job to job. People are being paid 6 figures just to stay on board. You've got people waiting tables getting $35 an hour plus tips. Crazy stuff's going on. The last 2 years, it's unprecedented what's happened. That is all going to ride out. I've never been in an economy where anybody can get a job for any amount of money at any time. That stuff, honestly, I believe is over, and it's going to work out in this economy. And the people that are prepared for it are going to be rewarded wildly. And the ones that aren't, they're going to get crushed. So unemployment's eventually going to go up. You guys know what's going to happen. So let's talk about the end user, the consumer. The average consumer, 70% of them live paycheck to paycheck. Okay. 66% of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings. All these people either rent or have a mortgage. Think about it. When these people get laid off, what is going to happen? They're not going to make their payments. And when they don't make their payments, these foreclosures are going to go on the uptick. Evictions are going to go up wildly. people are going to need help. The ones that didn't prepare for it are going to be the ones that are most effective. Now, here's the problem. The average employee right now has no idea other than some basically news flashing of what's going on. When they get the reality is when they get that pink slip and they get fired. Not even their fault most of the time. But that's when the reality hits. When you start seeing people interviewed on the news like, they just sent me an email and said I'm fired across the board. Well, they do that with like 5 or 10,000 employees because they got to cut costs. By the time that gets down to the bottom person from the boardroom to the employee, the damage is done. Guys, we are at the boardroom and it's now starting to work its way down to departments. I believe it's going to be another 3 to 6 months where everyone the people get their pink slips. And these are the people that have mortgages, have rents. These are the people that you can help out in wholesaling. And I'm here to tell you, we have 1.7 trillion in student loan debt, 930 billion in credit card debt. The savings, the United States savings rate, traditionally from 1959 up till now, 2022, was 9%. It's been cut down to 4.4%. Every stat I'm sharing with you is terrible. These are 40-year crazy numbers we've never seen before. Honestly, I thought 2008 was pretty bad. All this economic data. And guys, the scary part is we've just started. So the problem is all this stuff eventually will wash into real estate. It has to. It's the only asset class yet that hasn't been pounded, only because we had no inventory. We had a crazy events over 2 years. Guys, this is all going to straighten out. So the good news is I like moving markets because that's how you make money. A stale, stagnant market is boring and it's hard to decide which way it's going to go. So you guys already know it's going down. So Rick, what can I do to prevent and not get caught up and just lose my wholesaling business in this crazy market? Number one, you've got to stop doing what you've done. If you've been in wholesaling from 2013 to now, I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of the stuff that you learned, these crazy tricks, let's go to a seminar and figure out how to call 30,000 people. That stuff's not going to work anymore. It's not going to work. A lot of people have turned wholesaling into speculation, and that's not wholesaling at all. So there's a lot of people wholesaling that aren't even truly doing it right because they took someone's course and they think it's going to work forever. I'm here to tell you, I've been doing this 20 years. You know how I survived the 2008 market? You ready for this? I cut out all the crap, all the bells and whistles, all the fancy softwares, all the cute stuff, and I went into the core part of the business, which is wholesaling. And I'm going to walk you through the exact steps I did, not only to survive in that market, to come out so much better than I ever started and completely eliminate any of my competition. So number one, all your competition, all these saturations, that stuff's, it's going to wash away. Most investors are going to quit, specifically wholesalers, because they don't know what to do. The market's falling. I can't find cash buyers. And here's the reality. Sellers right now, as you're watching this video, they still think their home's worth $1 million. So the employees always last to know, and guess how the homeowner figures out their property's not worth nearly what they thought it was? They wait for the final news to come out. Who controls the news? Not you and me. So it takes 6 months to 12 months before they're going to get that memo. So what do I do between now and like 6 to 12 months when people understand their house isn't going to sell in 3 days, the realtors aren't going to get it sold, the house needs issues? Rick, what do I do? I'm going to give you the exact blueprint I used from 2008, and it worked. Okay. I got cute for a while and I stopped doing it. And this is the core of my business. This is why I love wholesaling. And this is why you have to master it. Rule number one, you can only buy properties from motivated sellers. And I would add highly motivated sellers. You know why? Because there are going to be a lot more of them. Okay. You can't buy average deals anymore. That got you by because some guru taught you some ridiculous thing to call 30,000 people and find 10 people that would sell their house for an average price. It's not going to work anymore. You have to focus on motivated sellers. If you have a deal you're working on right now, ask yourself right now, is that seller truly motivated? Well, Rick, how do I know they're motivated? You ask them the 4 pillar questions. Go over to freewholesaling.com. We show you how to do the whole thing. But if they are not motivated, you are wasting your time and you could break even or worse, lose money on that deal. We don't get in the wholesaling to do that. So number one, you have to only deal with motivated sellers. Number two, you have to focus on government lists. These are free lists. It's the really good news about this. Go get the data. Don't get it from a third party. Get it yourself. Go after tax delinquencies, pre-foreclosures, foreclosures, probates, eviction lists. Why? Because these are all signs of where a motivated seller is going to be. Because if you're on these lists, it's not a good thing and they have a problem with the property. Your job as the wholesaler is to help them out as much as possible. Another thing that I've always done, I still do this day, is driving for dollars in our company. Driving for dollars is the fastest way to locate distressed property. You're just looking for properties with high grass, blue tarp roofs, ones that just don't fit in. They need help. They need love. These are all the properties that are going to be on these lists anyways. So you can straight line the process by just hopping in your car, getting on your bike, get a pair of running shoes, walking shoes, and collect the address of suspect properties. Guys, I know this isn't like super sexy, but I'm here to tell you, if you want to be a wholesaler going forward, you need to find highly motivated sellers and you need to get the straight line path. Contact those sellers, either if you're knocking on their doors, if you're cold calling them, skip trace, get their phone number, go to truepeoplesearch.com, get their phone number and simply ask if they're interested in selling the property. And if they are, the motivation's there. You strike a good deal on the property, you put it on a contract, and then you sell that contract. All this other stuff that you like, all these great seminars and people put hundreds of thousands of dollars into it. Once you get past the pump and fluff, what do you have? You have to find motivated sellers and you need to find accurate lists that are basically free. And you got to put your blood, sweat, and tears in there and go lock up deals. I promise you this, if you stick to the core foundation of wholesaling, which is what I'm preaching to you right now, and you laser focus on helping people out and stop all this other stuff, stop speculation, stop buying deals 3% below retail price and trying to find someone to pay the difference. Find people that need to sell their house, not want to sell their house, need to sell their house. Focus on the driving for dollars, your government lists. And the last thing is creative financing going forward. It's going to be amazing opportunities because all these people in the last few years have taken low, very, very historic low interest rates on their mortgages. And I like to do creative financing when they don't have another alternative. I haven't been huge on creative financing for the last probably 3 or 4 years. You know why? Because there was so much competition. And I don't want to pay retail or above retail just to say I bought a creative financing deal. It's just, that's not my niche. I don't like to overpay for anything. So just because you do a creative financing deal, I can tell you, I owned a lot of creative financing in the last market crash, and I had to unwind a lot of deals because cash flow started going backwards. This is even before we did Airbnb. If you're doing creative financing with Airbnb, I'm going to be honest, you could have some major issues. That's a whole nother topic, and I'm going to talk about it in another rant. But I'm here to tell you, you guys have to stick to the core of wholesaling. All the other stuff's a distraction. Why? Because I've been doing this for 20 years. I survived the 2008 crash. And how did I survive? I went back to basics and I applied myself in wholesaling. And honestly, I've never looked back from them. Guys, you tell me, are you going to survive the current housing crash? And what are you going to do to make sure you don't make the same mistakes that all other wholesalers are making right now? Most wholesalers aren't preparing and they're putting their head in the sand and like, nah, it's going to be fine. It's not going to work. I'm telling you, change is coming to the real estate market. The reality is the real estate market is the last one to this party, but all these interest rates, all the unemployment, all this consumer debt is eventually going to wind up to the homeowner. The homeowner is going to have to make a decision. If they don't have more than $1,000 savings, how are they going to make those $2,000 and $3,000 mortgage payments or rent payments? Guys, also keep in mind, the tax base on all these houses have gone through the roof in most cities. So not only that is the tax delinquency bill, like these are huge bills, almost quadrupled from what they were before. These homeowners are still gonna have to pay those bills even though they don't have a job or their income got cut down significantly. Guys, I'm telling you, the good news is you couldn't be at a better time to join wholesaling. I want you guys to thrive in this. You've got to stop paying these people these ridiculous prices to learn such a basic skill set and get rid of all these bells and whistles. There'll be no bells rung here. I'm not going to sit here and tell you everything's rosy. We have problems right now. The question is, how long before it hits our real estate market? I think by late fall and by the end of the year, it's going to be in full force. And 2023 is going to be really ripe to help out as many sellers as possible. Guys, I don't want people to suffer, but there's got to be somebody out there to help them out. And why not help out homeowners and help out your future, your financial freedom, and get back your time and really create a service to help people out? That's what wholesaling is about. Guys, if you focus on the core of this business, I promise you, not only will you make it through this market, you'll actually thrive, and you'll have a core foundation that will build your business for the next 20 years. So let me know in the comments if you think a market crash is coming, and are you taking these steps to ensure your wholesaling business not only survives, but thrives. So guys, this is Rick Ginn, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.